Do you know what happens inside your cat's body when dry food is available all day? For millions of cat owners, it's part of a normal routine. You fill the bowl, your cat eats when it wants, and everything seems perfectly fine. But what if one of the most common feeding habits in the world is quietly changing your cat in ways you can't see? Every time your cat walks past that bowl, every time it decides to eat, a series of biological and behavioral processes begin unfolding inside its body. Some are completely natural, others may surprise you, because while leaving dry food out all day can seem harmless, the effects go far beyond simply satisfying hunger. It can influence how your cat eats, how it drinks, how it gains weight, and even how it experiences its environment. Today we're exploring what really happens when cats have unlimited access to dry food every day. And by the end of this video, you may never look at that food bowl the same way again. Before we begin, if you're fascinated by feline behavior, health, and the hidden science behind the things cats do every day, consider subscribing to Feline Mind. Now let's take a closer look at what happens when that food bowl never becomes empty. Leaving dry food out all day, often called free feeding, has become one of the most common feeding methods in the world. And honestly, it's easy to understand why. Modern life is busy. People work long hours, schedules change constantly. And compared to preparing several meals throughout the day, filling a bowl once feels simple and practical. Many owners also notice that their cats seem perfectly capable of managing their own eating habits. They take a few bites, walk away, return an hour later, eat a little more. To the human eye, everything appears balanced. Everything appears natural. In fact, many cat owners never question the habit at all. Because if their cat looks healthy and happy, why would they? But to understand what happens when food is constantly available, we first need to understand how cats evolved to eat in the first place. The ancestors of modern domestic cats did not have bowls full of food waiting for them. Every meal required effort. Every meal required patience. Long before cats shared our homes, they survived by hunting. Small rodents, birds, insects, tiny prey animals scattered throughout the day and night. A successful hunt rarely resulted in a large feast. Instead, cats evolved to consume many small meals over time. Their metabolism adapted to this pattern. Their instincts adapted to this pattern. Even their daily routines adapted to this pattern. In many ways, modern cats still carry these ancient instincts, which is why some cats naturally prefer several smaller meals rather than one large meal. But today's environment is dramatically different. A cat can now walk a few steps to a bowl and find more calories than its ancestors might have obtained after multiple successful hunts. For the first time in feline history, food can be available every hour of every day. And while that sounds like a luxury, it creates a situation evolution never truly prepared them for. And that's where things start becoming interesting. Because once food becomes permanently available, your cat's behavior can begin to change. One of the biggest misconceptions about cats is that all of them naturally regulate food intake. Some certainly do. You can leave food available all day, and they'll eat only what they need. These cats seem remarkably good at controlling themselves. But not every cat responds the same way. Some cats begin visiting the food bowl more frequently than necessary, not because they're hungry, but because eating becomes part of their routine, or because the opportunity is always there. Imagine walking past your favorite snack multiple times every day. Even when you're not truly hungry, there may be moments when temptation wins. Cats can experience something surprisingly similar. Researchers believe that food availability habit, and environmental stimulation can all influence eating behavior. This means eating isn't always driven by nutritional need. Sometimes it's driven by opportunity. And over time, those extra bites can begin adding up. But appetite is only part of the story. Because what happens next can have much bigger consequences. Weight gain rarely happens overnight. That's what makes it so difficult to notice. A cat doesn't suddenly wake up overweight one morning. The process is often gradual. A few extra calories today, a few more next week, a slightly lower activity level during winter, a few additional treats from family members. Individually, none of these things seem important, but together, they can slowly change a cat's body over months and years. Many owners don't notice the difference until they compare old photographs, or until a veterinarian points it out during a routine visit. And unfortunately, excess weight affects much more than appearance. It can place additional stress on joints, reduce mobility, increase the risk of diabetes, and make everyday activities more difficult. Jumping, climbing, playing, exploring. Activities that once felt effortless may gradually become less frequent. And as activity decreases, calorie expenditure often decreases as well, creating a cycle that's difficult to reverse. But while most people focus on weight, the next effect is actually one of the most overlooked concerns among veterinary professionals. If there is one part of this discussion that deserves more attention, it's hydration. Water plays a critical role in nearly every system inside your cat's body. Digestion, circulation, kidney function, urinary health, temperature regulation. Yet cats have a very unusual relationship with water. Their ancestors evolved in dry environments where much of their hydration came directly from prey. As a result, cats developed a relatively low thirst drive compared to many other animals. This becomes especially important when a cat eats mostly dry food. Because dry food contains very little moisture, often less than 10%. By comparison, wet food can contain around 70 to 80% water. That difference is enormous. It means cats eating mostly dry food must rely far more heavily on drinking water. Some cats adapt very well, others don't. And because dehydration can develop gradually, the signs aren't always obvious. A cat may appear completely normal while quietly consuming less water than its body would ideally prefer. This doesn't mean dry food is harmful. Far from it. Many cats thrive on dry food diets, but it does mean hydration deserves much more attention than many owners realize. And despite everything we've discussed so far, there are situations where leaving dry food out all day can actually work very well. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming every cat is the same. They're not. Some cats maintain excellent health with free access to dry food. They regulate their intake naturally, remain active, maintain a healthy body condition, and show no signs of overeating. For these cats, free feeding may not create significant problems at all. Age can also influence feeding needs. Growing kittens, for example, often require more frequent access to calories. Activity levels matter. Health conditions matter. Lifestyle matters. There is no single feeding method that works perfectly for every cat, which brings us to the most important lesson in this entire discussion. Because the real answer has very little to do with the food bowl itself. The debate isn't really about dry food, and it isn't really about whether food should be available all day. The real issue is awareness. Understanding your cat as an individual, its age, its weight, its health history, its activity level, its behavior. Two cats can eat the exact same food under the exact same conditions and experience completely different outcomes. That's why observation is so important. Your cat's body is constantly providing information. Through its weight, its energy levels, its drinking habits, its behavior, its overall health. The food bowl is only one piece of a much larger picture, and the owners who pay attention to that bigger picture are often the ones who make the best decisions for their cats. So, what happens when you leave dry food out all day? The answer is more complicated than most people think. For some cats, it may work perfectly well. For others, it can gradually influence eating habits, hydration, and weight in ways that aren't immediately obvious. Because when it comes to feline health, small daily habits often create the biggest long-term effects, and understanding those habits may be one of the most valuable things you can do for your cat. The next time you fill that bowl, take a moment to think about what happens after you walk away, because your cat's relationship with food is about much more than hunger. It's part of a complex system shaped by evolution, behavior, and health. And the better we understand that system, the better we can care for the animals that trust us most.